Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of power, Delhi.
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show.
Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister.
Hello and welcome to our special show on the fight against social evil, child marriage. I'm Gargi Rawat. 1 in every 3 girls who were married in their childhood lives in India. This is a shocking statistic. Earlier this month, in a landmark judgment, the Supreme Court held that child betrothals or marriages fixed while an individual is still a child also violate their rights to free choice, autonomy, agency, robbing them of their very childhood. Such betrothals, mutually agreed upon by the families, are seen as a deceitful means to escape punishment under the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. So the Supreme Court judgment essentially addresses this lacuna in the existing law by urging Parliament to outlaw child betrothals and to declare such a child as a minor in need of care and protection. Through this show, we explore this milestone judgment and what it means for India's fight against child marriage. Now, joining us for this discussion, once again, we have Bhuwan Ribhu, a prominent child rights activist, a notable advocate and author of the book When Children Have Children, Tipping Point to End Child Marriage. He's also the founder of the Child Marriage Free India campaign. Bhuwan, do tell us what is the significance of this judgment, the fact that the Supreme Court justices addressed this particular lacuna, also leaving it to Parliament. So what is the significance of this and what will the impact be?
I think this is a watershed moment in the fight against child marriage, not only in India, but also the entire world. For the first time, the Supreme Court of India has created the policy framework, the institutional framework, and a holistic framework for action where everyone, regardless of the journey of the child, from the child or the girls themselves, to the families, to the communities, to the schools, to the police, to the panchayat, to the entire ecosystem they have targeted, which is essentially what I had also advocated for in the book When Children Have Children, through the picket strategy. This picket strategy, which was a blueprint, is today converted into a national action plan, a framework for action, the law mandated by the Supreme Court of India. It lays down the framework for how the law can be enforced, from injunctions for prevention to protection of the girls, to prosecution of the people who are not following the mandate of the law. The awareness campaigns that are needed across India, the roles and responsibilities of the panchayat in registering each child marriage, the mandatory reporting by the panchayat, the police or any government officer who is not following the directive of the law can also be penalized and action can be taken against them. So the entire framework is a watershed movement. It tackles the gaps and the lacunas in policy, in institutions, in investments, in capacity, in the knowledge amongst the society and awareness, in monitoring of these efforts through the optimum utilization of technology, and considering that child marriage is a global issue. 1 in every 3 girls who's married off globally is in India. If India,
figure,
it is an absolutely shocking figure. But today, India has come at the forefront of the fight against child marriage. If we can do it in India, we can do it in the rest of the world. And this, therefore, is the precedence to be followed globally.
There's a lot of development that's happened, but there has been a setback as well during the COVID years, as one saw, and we've all reported on this campaign as well. So what, just for our viewers, what are the roadblocks in, stopping child marriage?
The biggest roadblock is public perception. There is no fear of the law. If the law exists merely as a piece of paper, then it is nothing. Child Marriage Prohibition Act, unfortunately, has been one such law. These girls are not the victim of a social evil. They are not a byproduct of poverty. These girls are being raped. They are being abused. The crime of child marriage is a violation of every single fundamental right of the child. There is no freedom. There is no agency. There is no choice. There is no equality. In the patriarchal system, the girls are left with absolutely no autonomy. There is no participation in the workforce. They are devoid of their education. They are being raped, they are being abused, and it has converted into a crisis of health, education, as well as protection. So, why does it happen? It happens because people on one side do not fear the law. On the other, they are also scared for the safety and the protection of their children. On the third, there is a lacuna in the sense of education being provided till class 8th. So, till class 8th, a girl will be in school, will get access to midday meals, but at the age of 14, the girl is out, and those girls need to be brought back either in formal education or in skill development. Then there is a gap in policy. That is that various high courts have held that the personal laws supersede the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. It is not true in law. It is not correct. But when high courts rule something like that, it creates a system of confusion. It creates a state of confusion in the society.
And we still don't have clarity on that yet.
We have the clarity in the law. The Supreme Court has not... Unfortunately, the Supreme Court has left it to the discretion of Parliament to explicitly prohibit it. But otherwise, it is, as the law stands today, it applies to all children.
All right. What was also interesting is it talks about the boys as well, because if we talk about, getting betrothed at a young age, it's both the boy and the girl. So they're saying they've dealt with this issue and said in this patriarchal mindset of society, one forgets that the boys also face certain pressures if they're getting married at a young age. So that is another very interesting aspect that this is, drawn attention to.
The Supreme Court very rightly has said that prevention before protection and protection before prosecution is the key. If a child has already been married, then we can actually take that recourse to legal action, but for the child, her future is as good as destroyed. That perception also needs to be done away with, and efforts must be undertaken to prevent child marriage. How will that happen? Number one, empower the girls, educate the girls, and also educate the boys. So start with educating the children not only about their own rights, but also about the criminal justice side of child marriage, that it is a crime. Secondly, educate the parents that are responsible. Thirdly, make panchayats and the ecosystem accountable. Every single government agency has been told that if you do not follow the direction of the law, action can be taken against you. So that is that. So boys' participation, girls' participation, sex education, rights-based education, empowerment, and creating a framework for reporting. A national portal has been mandated. where anyone can report a case of child marriage. So this basically is targeting the entire ecosystem. Start with the children and end with the law. That is what the...
Very holistically, it has to be taken on. We're also joined by the petitioner in this case, Alka ji, joining us now. Now, it was a petition from civil society organization that led to the Supreme Court to this judgment. So, Alka Sahu now joining us from NGO Seva. Alka ji, Seva द्वारा फाइल किए गए इस पिटिशन पे इतना महत्वपूर्ण फैसला सुनाया है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, क्या प्रतिक्रिया है आपकी?
हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट को धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं कि जो इतना बड़ा जजमेंट आया बाल्य विवाह को लेके, हम बाल्य विवाह मुक्त भारत अभियान से जुड़कर हमको हौसला मिली और धैर्य मिला। हम मिलके वो जो 2030 तक हम बाल्य विवाह मुक्त भारत और गांव बनाने के लिए हम कोशिश जारी रखेंगे।
All right, thank you so much, Alka ji, there for joining us. And Bhuwan ji, coming back to the Child Marriage Free India campaign, now you work with an extensive set of NGOs on this issue. As you said, it's something that has to be dealt with at all levels, be it the administration, be it society. So tell us a bit about these NGOs and how they function at the different levels.
So Alka ji is one of our partner organizations of the Child Marriage Free India campaign. In over 50,000 villages across India, led by the children, led by the women's groups, led by the youth groups, child marriage-free villages are being created in over 50,000 villages. This is that blueprint being translated into action on the ground, which is also a part of the Supreme Court judgment.
In fact, the Supreme Court says that,
let's create
villages, child marriage-free villages, like open defecation-free villages.
Exactly, exactly. So this is not a civil society issue. It is a you and I issue. These children are all our children. And because every child is vulnerable, we are talking about 1 in 4 children. This is not only a criminal justice issue, it is also the biggest impediment towards creating the developed India. We get these girls into education, we ensure that they are not married off, we are ensuring the protection of every subsequent generation of these girls. This is just one generation of girls being saved will save the entire country's girls in all future.
Absolutely, and we talk about how India is such a young nation and how we can use this as a strength. And here we're talking about so many girls, so many women just taken out of that equation. A very important issue, especially when we talk about a child marriage-free India. We're going to talk more about Bhuvanji's book on the other side. We'll just slip into a very short break.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always bustling. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
We reached an agreement on patrolling.
Welcome back to our special show on Child Marriage Free India, and we're in conversation with Bhuwan Ribhu, prominent child rights activist, advocate and founder of the Child Marriage Free India campaign. Now Bhuvan ji, you have authored a book called When Children Have Children. It lays out an extensive roadmap to address child marriage, and there's a similarity, as you spoke about, what the Supreme Court has recently said on this issue and what you've written about in your book as well. So if you could explain both your own picket strategy as well as the guidelines in a sense that validate this strategy.
So in this book, When Children Have Children, the tipping point to end child marriage, in 2023, I had laid down the framework for action that we as a nation need to follow. By targeting certain geographies holistically, ensuring that there are robust policies in place for prevention, protection, as well as prosecution, each going simultaneously and hand in hand. Ensuring access to education for girls, for example. Ensuring access to rehabilitation for girls. Ensuring prosecution of people who are creating that ecosystem that supports child marriage. Prosecute them. That is the P. Ensure institutions and investments in institutions. So get the budgetary allocations from creation of a juvenile justice fund to optimum utilization of the funds that have already been prescribed in the Mission Vatsalya by the Government of India, the 5% that needs to be allocated on protection of children in every village, targeted against child marriage for the education of children. Thirdly, build the capacity of the response framework. The ANMs, the Anganwadis, the Panchayats, the police, the prosecutors, the judges, the child marriage prohibition officers that do not exist. Appoint them as well as train them periodically. Then knowledge. Knowledge amongst the children, the empowerment of girls, knowledge amongst the boys and their equal participation. Knowledge amongst the parents. Ensure that everybody in the country is aware that child marriage is a crime and you can be prosecuted. Then the economics of child marriage and the ecosystem that comes together to protect the child, to ensure access to education, to ensure rehabilitation and the response framework that exists in between. The mandatory reporting by the ecosystem. Then monitor all this through the optimum utilization of technology. Ensure that the attendance of each child is monitored, and girls, when they are kept in school, if a girl is dropping out of school, she is identified and then taken back to the school. So the community's approach in in a holistic participation or
All right.
participatory way. Secondly, create the child marriage free villages so that every village is aware there is an incentivization not only towards education but also there is a pride that I am child marriage free.
And this is something the Supreme Court has suggested in this.
All of
judgment.
this has been suggested by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has gone a step further and said create the special child marriage police units, create the state level child marriage protection societies, ensure that there are fast track courts for trial of these people. So Supreme Court on one side is talking about the prevention, but on the other they have said that the criminal justice side of child marriage needs to be also taken into consideration simultaneously. What was a blueprint for action a year ago is today the law in India. When we first came out with the strategy in this book, this child was carrying another child on her back. And 4 years later, when I first met this child, 4 years later, she had become this child. The only weight on her back was that of a school bag. This is her responsibility. This is our responsibility. And that is the journey the world needs to follow.
Absolutely, and in the course of covering this issue, I have spoken to young girls who've actually called out their own child marriage that was taking place and informed the didis or the particular person responsible in their village. But for viewers who are watching just now and want to know how they can get involved, they may be north, south, in cities or in small towns. What can an individual do on this issue?
First and foremost, understand this is everybody's issue. No child is safe from people who are actually trafficking girls in the name of child marriage, and that is also a real issue that is in India. Secondly, report. Wherever you are in the country, if you hear about child marriage, report. Thirdly, support the children in their continuation of education. Support the organizations that are working against child marriage in your area. If you are living in a city, support any organization that is working for the education or continuation of education of girls or specifically against child marriage. Fourthly, if a police officer, if a panchayat or if a law enforcement officer is not following the direction of law, report them as well. At the end of the day, it is the panchayats who are going to record child marriages, register child marriages. It is the municipalities that are going to ensure that child marriages are reported, and the education till the age of 18 that is going to solve the problem along with the prosecution as the Supreme Court has espoused. Lastly, it is not an Indian issue. It's a global issue. What we do in India, the world is watching. We have created the laws, we have created the institutions, we have created the framework of action. All we need to do is act,
and
speak,
work together.
report,
in fact,
and
that
work
was
together.
going to be my next question about what is your message for other countries that are also fighting this evil of child marriage. As we know, it is a UN Sustainable Development Goal as well. So what would your message be to them, and this blueprint that you were talking about, the picket?
Follow the picket strategy, of course. Make sure that there are robust laws and the laws are then enforced properly. We are unfortunately living in a time in 2024 where a country is talking about allowing child marriages to take place at the age of 11. The entire global community needs to come together and think about elimination of child marriage not only as a sustainable development goal, but create an international law against child marriage. And that international law should be the framework of action that each country is mandatorily supposed to follow. And the entire world community needs to understand that the elimination of child marriage is the precursor to ending all forms of violence against children. There is no bigger violence against children than the marriage and the rapes, the sanctioned rape of our girls in the name of child marriage. If we want to progress as humanity, the ending of child marriage is a must. This judgment is the result of the groundswell of action which has been happening across India. It signals the beginning of the end. And this is the time when the government needs to come forward with purpose, with urgency, and initiate a national campaign of action against child marriage, which creates a culture of both awareness as well as accountability, which ensures that panchayats, police, state governments, A&M, schools, teachers, parents and children, everyone participates in this endeavor to make India a child marriage free India by 2030. This is the moment, this is the framework, and what the Supreme Court has laid down is that this is doable. In the next 5 years, we will do it in India, and I hope that India leads the way and the world follows.
Definitely hope in the next 5 years we can actually, eradicate this evil from our society. Thank you so much, Bhuvanji, for speaking to us and telling us, all about this, about the recent Supreme Court judgment as well. And clearly it's something that all of us need to think about, because this is a society evil and it's for all of us to come together to end it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. #1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show.
breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
Reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. मग का मिळत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
कैसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility, according to the prestige.
Delhi Chief Minister Atishi claims that Kejriwal was attacked by BJP goons. BJP, in the meanwhile, has refuted Aam Aadmi Party's charge. Ahead of the polls in Maharashtra, Mahavikas Aghadi set to declare all seats by today and seal the seat-sharing formula. Meanwhile, Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray releases its second list along with Congress. 48 hours after taking a dip in the Yamuna River, Delhi BJP chief Virendra Sachdeva hospitalized. Reports suggest hackers linked to the Chinese government targeted the phone communications of former US President Donald Trump and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance as part of their cyber espionage activity aimed at high-level US targets. Trump's campaign says that Harris's campaign emboldened China. And Israel has attacked 20 Iranian military sites. Iran, in the meanwhile, has confirmed these attacks but said that the Israeli strikes did limited damage. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. The big story that we're tracking 48 hours after taking a dip in the Yamuna River, the Delhi BJP chief, Virendra Sachdeva, he has been hospitalized. The Delhi BJP president, remember, he took a dip in the toxic Yamuna River in Delhi as a protest against the rising pollution in the national capital. The BJP has also challenged, it had also challenged Aam Aadmi Party Supremo Arvind Kejriwal to take a dip in the toxic river. Now, 48 hours after taking a dip in the river, Delhi BJP President Virendra Sachdeva, he has been hospitalized. He had complained of breathing issues as well as developing rashes on his body.
Aam Aadmi Party Chief Minister Atishi and Arvind Kejriwal to come there and see the condition of the Yamuna water pollution that was seen that day after taking a dip. Within 48 hours, Virendra Sachdeva, the Delhi BJP president, has been admitted to RML hospital. Right now, what the doctors are saying and what we are understanding is that he has developed skin rashes and is currently facing trouble in breathing. And right now also, all the formalities are going on. The doctor is checking up on, Virendra Sachdeva right now also, but it seems that he has, after taking a dip inside the Yamuna water, he has developed some skin rashes and also is, facing issues with the breathing right now.
Well, Delhi Chief Minister Atishi has in fact attacked the BJP, saying that BJP goons attacked former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal during one of his rallies. In fact, the BJP in fact has labelled Kejriwal's attack as baseless, these charges as baseless. The Delhi Chief Minister, she said that Mr. Kejriwal was attacked during a Padayatra that he was undertaking. The BJP says that Arvind Kejriwal is now resorting to fake news and that the Aam Aadmi Party is desperate as they are losing polls.
पद यात्रा के दौरान जैसे लोग माला पहनाने आते हैं, माला पहनाने के नाम पर सामने आए और फिर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के खिलाफ नारे लगाए और उन पर हमला किया। इस हमले में अगर बीजेपी के उन कार्यकर्ताओं के पास हथियार होते तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की जान भी जा सकती थी। ये बिल्कुल साफ है कि यह हमला भारतीय जनता पार्टी द्वारा है, क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ही कार्यकर्ताओं द्वारा केजरीवाल जी पर पहले भी हमले हुए हैं और एक बार भी दिल्ली पुलिस ने अरविंद केजरीवाल जी पर हमला करने वालों पर कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया है।
देखिए, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी दिल्ली का चुनाव हार रहे हैं। उनको जो ग्राउंड फीडबैक जमीन से आया है उसमें ये उन्हें पता चला है कि दिल्ली में उनकी सरकार नहीं बन रही। उन्हें ये भी पता चला है कि कैसे बाकी के आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता उनकी कुर्सी छीनना चाहते हैं। अब जब कोई नेता डेस्परेट होता है तो वो फेक न्यूज का सहारा लेता है। वो खुद ही अपने लोगों को प्लांट कर रहे हैं, खुद ही अपने ऊपर हमला करवा रहे हैं और एक फेक सिंपैथी को जनरेट करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। दिल्ली में अगर आप बिना सिक्योरिटी के और बिना अपनी वीवीआईपी सिक्योरिटी के एक बार आप पैदल चल लीजिए आम आदमी पार्टी के जैसे आम आदमी के तहत, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि दिल्ली की जनता में कितना गुस्सा है। वो गुस्सा अगर दिल्ली की जनता प्रकट कर रही है, इसमें ना भारतीय जनता पार्टी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है ना कोई दूसरी पार्टी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है।
The battle for Maharashtra, it is heating up. The Congress and Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena have released their second list for polls. Mahavikas Aghadi is set to declare all seats by today. Congress, in the meanwhile, has released a list of 23 candidates, taking its tally to 71 candidates so far. Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena has released a list of 15 candidates. Mahavikas Aghadi is set to declare all its seats by today.
Well, in Maharashtra, Mahavikas Aghadi, we are going to fight the election together. There is no problem in Mahavikas Aghadi. Problem is in Mahayuti. See, in Mahayuti, problem is much more. Mahavikas Aghadi problem is very less. By tomorrow, we will. I asked Barasab Torat to meet Uddhavji and Sharad Pawarji and thrash out all the issues.
महाराष्ट्र में तीन पार्टियां प्रमुख है और मजबूत है, कांग्रेस, पवार साहब की एनसीपी और उद्धव जी के नेतृत्व वाली शिवसेना। मुझे लगता है तीनों को लगभग समान सीटों का बंटवारा हुआ है और ठीक है। और राहुल गांधी जी बहुत ही संयमी नेता है, उनको महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति के बारे में पूरी जानकारी है, कौन कितने पानी में है ये भी मालूम है। हरियाणा में तो पूरी सीटें कांग्रेस ने लड़ी थी, हरियाणा में पूरी सीटें कांग्रेस ने लड़ी थी ना, सरकार नहीं आ पाई। तो सबको साथ लेकर चलना चाहिए, सबका साथ सबका विकास, ये नारे की अगर किसको जरूरत है तो महाविकास आघाड़ी को है।
NED has conducted search operations yesterday in Delhi, Mumbai, Jaipur, Chandigarh as well as Bengaluru. This in relation to the illegal sale of tickets of Coldplay and Diljit Dosanjh's Illuminati concerts. Now, during the search operations, several incriminating materials such as mobile phones, laptops, SIM cards, etc. that were used in the scam were recovered and seized. And my colleague Mukesh Singh Sengar joins us to get us more on this. Mukesh, what are the latest details that you can give us?
देखिए, दिल्ली में दिल्ली दोसांझ का शो है और साथ में कोल्ड प्ले का भी शो है और इनके जो टिकट्स थे वो बुक माई शो और साथ में जो ज़ोमेटो लाइव है उन पर उनकी टिकट की सेल हो रही थी। लेकिन जैसे ही ये सेल ओपन हुई उसके बाद तुरंत सारे टिकट बिक गए और उसके बाद जो टिकट थे उनकी काला बाजारी शुरू हो गई और इसका फ़ायदा कुछ लोगों ने उठाया जो अलग अलग स्टेट में टेलीग्राम, व्हाट्सएप या जो दूसरे सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म हैं उनके ज़रिए जो है इन शोज़ के नकली टिकट बेच रहे थे। तो लगातार बुक माई शो और जो ज़ोमेटो लाइव है उसके ज़रिए पुलिस को कई शिकायतें मिलीं जिसके बाद लोकल पुलिस ने एफआईआर दर्ज की। इसके बाद ईडी ने इस पूरे मामले में मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का केस दर्ज किया और ईडी ने 5 शहरों की 5 राज्यों की करीब 13 लोकेशन पर रेड की है और ये रेड जो है वो दिल्ली, मुंबई, जयपुर, चंडीगढ़, बेंगलोर इन तमाम शहरों में हुई है और रेड के दौरान ईडी ने बड़ी मात्रा में जो डिजिटल एविडेंस हैं और साथ में जो दस्तावेज हैं वो बरामद किए हैं। ईडी के मुताबिक अब तक की जांच में ये बात सामने आई है कि जो तमाम जो सस्पेक्ट हैं वो अलग अलग सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म के जरिए बड़े पैमाने पर इन शोज़ के जो फेक टिकट्स हैं, नकली टिकट है वो बेच रहे थे और ईडी ने इस मामले में बड़ी मात्रा में जो सबूत हैं, एविडेंस है वो इकट्ठा किए हैं और ईडी इस पूरे मामले को लेकर जो फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन हुए हैं, ये पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है, क्या कोई बड़ा सिंडिकेट है जो इस पूरे काम में लगा है, उसको लेकर ईडी इस पूरे मामले में जांच कर रही है और जो फाइनेंशियल जो ट्रांजैक्शन हुए हैं, जो पूरी मनी ट्रेल है इस पूरे सिंडिकेट को लेकर, उसको लेकर ईडी जांच कर रही है और उसी सिलसिले में ईडी ने रेड की है। तो कुल 13 लोकेशन पर रेड हुई है और बड़ी मात्रा में इस पूरे मामले को लेकर डॉक्यूमेंट्स और डिजिटल एविडेंस बरामद किए गए हैं। जी।
All right, Mukesh Singh Sengar, thank you very much for getting us all the latest in that story. Meanwhile, continuing our coverage of the Iran-Israel conflict, Israel has attacked Iranian military sites. Explosions were heard in Tehran and other areas. Iran, in the meanwhile, has said that Israeli strikes has done limited damage. This after Israel launched direct strikes against Iran. Israeli military attacked about 20 sites in Iranian territory, and the IDF, it said that the attack was in response to Iran's October 1st attack.
They have this air defense system and a siren is issued whenever there is an, let's say, an intrusion by any aerial device. Do you have a similar kind of system in Iran, or what was the mood in Iran for the last couple of weeks? We had seen in media, the reports are suggesting that perhaps there will be attack before the US elections, and any of these weekends after Shabbat or before Shabbat or on Friday or Saturday, usual attacks happen from Iran or Israel. So were the Iranians or your countrymen were expecting that this attack would happen late in the night on one of the Friday, Saturday intervening nights? Or were there any kind of alerts being issued by Iranian authorities anticipating this attack?
Yes, first of all, regarding the sirens, and there are no such sirens in any city or anywhere in Iran for the public attention. So it is discreetly managed by the Iranian air defense. And as per the video circulating in the social media and as per the accounts of our friends who are living in Tehran and in other parts of Iran, I'm an Indian myself and some of my Indian friends are here in Tehran as well. They heard some explosions later on. It was announced that those explosions were from the Iranian defense system targeting the incoming missiles from the Israeli airspace. Regarding the current scenario and from the past 2 weeks, it was clearly mandated and it was clearly announced that Israel will be attacking Iran, and we did not know when. And the Iranian media had also reported the same. But you know, public are very people over here. I also meet the Indian diaspora who are living in Tehran. Some of them are businessmen, some of them are students. and also Iranian friends. We have business relations with some of the Iranian friends. They were also very clear that the current scenario is not good for but Iranian government along with the people are equally prepared and ready for any such retaliations or any such attacks from the Israeli.
All right. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has pushed for the use of green hydrogen as an indigenous solution for mobility. Hydrogen as a fuel is very endearing and it can be made by breaking water. And when used, the effluent is again just water. Now, speaking at the NDTV World Summit, the Bhutanese Prime Minister spoke to NDTV's Nikunj Garg and said that India are swiftly becoming world leaders in this cutting-edge technology.
Prime Minister, is that, after this, I'm told you are city hopping and, you're going to visit various places. What is it that you have in your mind that you wish to probably focus on, see, watch, the way the city is evolving, the national capital?
Well, I looked out from my room and I see this park. It's like a forest. And every time I see it, I'm amazed that in one of the most congested cities of the world, so-called polluted cities of the world, you see a forest in the center of the city. And I can't get enough of this. The greenery, especially in New Delhi, I enjoy seeing this. But what you are referring to is my bus ride that I'm going to go on immediately after this. We are going to go on a bus that's driven by hydrogen fuel. And I'm really, really excited because this is the new, not just the new future, but the new India, to use renewable fuels to even drive transport. And not just to drive transport, but to be the world's leader in this cutting edge of technology. So I know that when I get on this bus, it's just going to be like any other bus. And therein lies the beauty of it. Because hydrogen fuel, not diesel, not petrol, not even electricity, is driving. Hydrogen is what's driving this bus. And the more ordinary it is, the more amazing I'm going to feel.
Meanwhile, NDTV's science editor Pallav Bagla, he visited the world's highest green hydrogen plant being made by the National Thermal Power Corporation in Leh, Ladakh, which is a very unique, futuristic project.
I'm here at the world's highest green hydrogen plant. I'm standing at 3,600 meters in Leh, Ladakh. This green hydrogen plant has been put up by NTPC as part of Mission Green Hydrogen. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's pet project. But what is green hydrogen and what makes it so special? One thing Ladakh is well endowed with is sunlight. This sunlight is harvested on solar panels. Electricity is generated through renewable energy. That electricity is then passed on to a special place where an electrolyzer breaks water into hydrogen and oxygen. It is a very tough bond to break, and you need very special chemicals to do that, and high energy. Since it's renewable energy, the hydrogen which comes out is called green hydrogen. The green hydrogen is then canistered, pumped, pressurized, and using a dispenser like this, put into green hydrogen buses like this. These buses use fuel cells. A fuel cell is where you pass hydrogen over it and it generates electricity at the other end. And then a battery is charged and then the bus runs like a normal electric bus. the effluent or the exhaust in a green hydrogen bus is water, because at the world's highest green hydrogen plant made by NTPC in Leh Ladakh, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.
And it's a festive Diwali for actor Kartik Aaryan, who is gearing up for the release of his film Bhool Bhulaiya 3 on November 1st. He spoke to Abhiradhar about his childhood Diwali celebrations and shared what he looks forward to most during this special time of the year.
Is Diwali just round the corner? What is your memories with Diwali? Tell us something if you can share with us, childhood memories of Diwali and one ritual that you always make sure it's a Diwali ritual at home.
All of us wear new clothes. That's one thing which we follow at home. So वो चीज़ तो बचपन से वो हो रही है, and we've always been excited कि we get some new clothes for everyone and in our family, and we do that. And वो of course मुहूर्त होता है, पूजा होती है, तो वो एक set time पे हम लोग पूजा करते हैं घर पे. And visiting friends and families, and of course they are also visiting us, and so that's been the case always. And I remember that बचपन में भी यही करते थे हम लोग. और
पटाखे
बहुत पहले करता था, अब नहीं करता, अब तो बंद ही हो गया. बट बचपन में होता था, बट बहुत अब and also but I was excited about the fact that sweets या ये सब जो खाना बनता था, उसके लिए मैं बहुत excited होता था. अभी भी खाना बनता है अच्छा, अभी भी वो all those like sweets and मिठाइयाँ and मठरी और गजक और ये so there are stuff which specifically जो दिवाली में बनती है, and so I enjoy that. I really look forward to Diwali days.
Because last time when I met you, मुझे पता है आप diet पे थे, चंद्र चैंपियन हुआ था, and you told me about all that crazy diet you were doing, remember?
Yeah.
So now
2 साल तो दिवाली नहीं बनाई मैंने.
So there you go, 2 साल नहीं बनाई दिवाली. इस दिवाली तो
इस दिवाली भूल भुलैया वाली अगर होती है तो बहुत खाना खाऊंगा.
Okay, I have a Diwali rapid fire for you, okay? Quickly. When we say Diwali, what comes to your mind?
Like holidays, छुट्टी, मजे. Yeah.
One Diwali tradition you follow at home.
The same thing I said. Wearing new clothes. Yeah.
Sweet or savory? What's your favorite Diwali snack?
Sweet.
Do you prefer lighting diyas or bursting crackers?
Lighting diyas.
One Diwali gift you will never forget.
It's weird. My sister gifted me a PlayStation, so I remember.
Ladki aur PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, a Bollywood movie you love watching maybe every Diwali.
Every Diwali. दिवाली में मैं थिंकिंग मतलब थिएटर्स जाके तो जो रिलीज होती है वही देखूंगा, लेकिन एवरी दिवाली अगर मुझे फिल्म देखनी है,
अगर दिवाली सोचो तो क्या मूवी दिमाग में आती है? जैसे मैं बोलूंगी हम साथ साथ हैं.
हाँ, मैं बोलूंगा भूल भुलैया. 1 देख लो, 2 देख लो, अभी 3 देख लो.
कैसे कोई अपना प्रमोशन कैसे ना कर रहा है भाई, देख लो. Okay, fine, I'll take it. Lakshmi Puja or Diwali parties, which one are you more excited about?
ये दिवाली पार्टीज का कॉन्सेप्ट ना मेरे लाइफ में बहुत लेट आया, वो यहाँ पर आकर आया, और वो भी ऑफ लेटली. तो मैं लक्ष्मी पूजा ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड रहता था, क्योंकि वो विथ फैमिली रहता है पूरे टाइम, एंड या तो.
Okay, gold, silver or something else? What's your Diwali shopping guilty pleasure like?
I'm thinking.
कभी गोल्ड खरीदा है मम्मा के लिए दिवाली के टाइम पे?
नहीं, उन्होंने खरीदा, मैंने नहीं खरीदा. गोल्ड नहीं खरीदा, सिल्वर. I don't know. I'm clothes, more and more clothes. Like I don't stop.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You are shopaholic?
When it comes to this, yeah.
कार हॉलिक भी, सब कुछ. ये नहीं बोला कि गाड़ियाँ खरीद लेता हूँ.
नहीं, ये नहीं बोला. ये मैंने अभी तक इस दिवाली मैंने गाड़ी नहीं खरीदी.
ये सोच के बताना, a Diwali tradition you will want to pass on to the next generation.
आई थिंक स्पेंडिंग टाइम विथ योर फैमिली, वो बहुत होता है दिवाली में कि यू गेट टाइम टू स्पेंड विथ योर फैमिली, एंड अदरवाइज वी आर यूजुअली इन आवर ओन वर्ल्ड. एंड आई थिंक दिवाली में ये बहुत बचपन से ये रहा है मेरे कि घर पे हम लोग ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं उस दिन.
दिवाली में हम कोई बाहर नहीं जाते.
हाँ, इट्स मोर लाइक दैट.
दैट्स द रिचुअल बिकॉज़ लक्ष्मी आती है.
एग्जैक्टली.
राइट.
एग्जैक्टली.
दरवाजा खुला रखते हो?
दरवाजा खुला नहीं रखते, अभी रखूँगा. अभी रखूँगा.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
Reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
तालियों के साथ हम स्वागत करेंगे आदरणीय मोदी जी का।
छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त पण का मिळत नाही. राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
कैसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
has, of course, been the pioneer of bringing the telecom age to India. And I think in your latest move, will also save Indians from the biggest pestilence we are facing currently, which is spam calls. So let me start with thanking you for that, Mr. Mittal.
Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure for me to be here at the NDTV World Summit. Let's start with this topic. I think most of us have been harassed, if I may use that word, by spam calls, by messages, and it's becoming an increasing nuisance. And in the last year or so, I would say this has really picked up menacing proportions. And to that extent, some solution was much required. And we at Airtel have been working on this for a period of time. And it's hard to, balance the issue of privacy of customers, what they want to receive and what they would like to be blocked. So it's not an easy area to work on. And that's why you needed a lot of machine learning, a lot of AI at work to ensure that we are looking at patterns rather than individuals. And that's how we were able to solve the problem. And it's a completely machine-based, AI-based spam protection setup now we have. Every time we receive a call, first of all, billions of messages and calls are being stopped, which you don't even get to see, which we are 100% certain are coming from wrong places with wrong intentions. But occasionally also still, because we are learning, the machines are learning all the time, there are some suspicion or suspected calls or spam messages which come through, and they are labeled for the customer's benefit, a spam call or a spam message.
Yeah.
So that is really, to my mind, protecting our customers, and we have received tremendous response, positive response from our large customer base.
Okay, of course, that is just one of the many things Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal has done. Recipient of India's highest civilian order, a giant in Indian industry. And today, thank you so much, Mr. Mittal, for joining us on the NDTV World Summit. I want to start by asking you about how you look at Indian business and their role globally. For years, India has been seen as the best marketplace, a huge population, a thriving middle class, a country in which every global company wants to come and sell their product and service. But what about Indian businesses going global? Do you think the time of the Indian MNC has now come?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I grew up in the times of severe shortages and restrictions of importing stuff, very few aspirational consumer products were being manufactured in India. everything was being looked from outside. If you had some sources of affluence, you always wanted, products which were coming from overseas. I think we have seen the transformation of this country, and increasingly so in the last decade or so under our Prime Minister's leadership. India has truly become now a place where you produce locally, you consume locally, and importantly, now you also export globally. It is only natural that given the scope and scale that India is offering, some companies will start to emerge as true global companies or multinational companies. Tatas have always been at the forefront. They took some serious early bets in the European market and a bit in Africa and South Africa mainly. In 2010, we made an audacious move to go into 15 countries in Africa. We added one more later on. We divested two. We are still in 14 sub-Saharan countries. It's perhaps one of the only branded product out of India. So you'll see Airtel in 14 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. You will see it in Sri Lanka. You will see it in Bangladesh. So we are in many countries outside India, but importantly, our latest move of taking a significant stake in two European companies, Eutelsat OneWeb, which is a satellite company. We are the largest shareholder of that company, just under 25%, with the French government and the British government being the other two shareholders. And we have recently made a move on acquiring a significant stake in British Telecom, in which we have acquired 10% and waiting for the permissions to go up to 25%, which we are hopeful should happen pretty soon. So you can see the emergence of Indian companies now on global stage. And the good thing is India's money is welcome. Unlike, I would say, our neighboring country, China's investments, which are being blocked actually, and the money which is coming from the Middle East is being put through a much stronger filter because they are sovereign-backed monies. Western world prefers private sector investment, and India can offer that from here. You are seeing GMR building airports outside. You are seeing Adani now going into Kenya. You are seeing Godrej going overseas, Bajaj going outside, Hero Motors going outside. You are starting to see the emergence of global companies slowly but surely out of India now.
Yeah, so the age of the Indian MNC is soon to come. Let me come back to your foray into Africa in 2010. What was the thought behind that, and why did you look at the African continent?
Well, Africa has been almost forever a continent of hope. And you keep on, hoping that it'll get better, and you get a setback, you get better. I mean, just to give you a sense, we acquired this company in 2010 when the revenues were about $5 billion. Today, after 14 years, it's still $5 billion in dollar terms. Oh. But had the currencies not gone down, it would have been about $17 billion. So our assessment that there is tremendous amount of growth in Africa held out to be true. So in local currency terms, we have been growing at a rapid pace. Even now, the company is growing at over 20% year on year, which is rare anywhere in the world. Just to give you a context, Europe or UK, the companies are growing at 0.5% to maximum 1.5%. And that's why the valuations in Europe are low. In Africa, they are 20%, and India is 10-12%. But the currency depreciations have been pretty stark. So these are the geopolitical risks that Indian companies, when they go out, will look at. But we knew if we wanted our next 100 million customers, we had to go somewhere outside to a place like Africa. Today, we have nearly 160 million customers in these 14 countries. And the way population and the young people are adopting technologies, I think we will be at 250 million customers in not too distant future. And hopefully, these currencies will also start to stabilize.
Yeah. In terms of the Indian context, India has been a service-oriented economy. We are now moving to becoming a manufacturing hub. Do you think that's the game changer that India Inc. also needs to double down behind? Of course, strong policy push, but India Inc. is also coming in on that platform?
Yeah, I think manufacturing has been a focus for every country. The smallest to the largest countries have all focused on manufacturing because the political leadership recognizes that to create jobs, you really need manufacturing. And we have all seen China done it remarkably well for its large population. Now, given the context that India will have in not too distant future, we are talking about 2030, India will have 1 billion people in the working age, 1 billion people, which means great opportunities, tremendous amount of consumption, equally tremendous amount of savings. But these people need to get a job. Now, digital will provide jobs and opportunities. NASSCOM's assessment is that we'll need 1 million people in the digital world in the next 5 years, continuously on a year-by-year basis. But that's just 5 million people. There are some other sectors, service industry, tourism, our new e-commerce type of activities, which will also generate a lot of jobs. But in the end, for any nation to really become a true economic power, you need manufacturing. And I'm so glad that finally India is getting its manufacturing piece right. The PLI, productivity linked incentive, is becoming a huge boost for the manufacturing sector. And the trusted products and services and networks, where India is saying anything that goes into the networks, the digital networks, must be trusted. And that is forcing a lot of companies to come and manufacture here in this country. Suddenly you're seeing from a net importer of mobile phones, India has started to now export phones. And as our Prime Minister mentioned just last week, that India will eventually start to produce mobile phones in India, not just assembling them, but right from the semiconductor stage to the glass shells, to the entire structure of the phones and its circuitry being made in India. So you will in the next few years have a truly fully India-made mobile phones. And just an example of how manufacturing is taking place. So electronics, hardware manufacturing, software, in any case, India has been very strong.
You know, you talked about the employment part of it. The private capex part of it also becomes very important, and that's one standard discussion which takes place every year. That is private capex coming in to the extent it does. If I were to ask you, Mr. Mittal, where do you think the animal spirits are ranking right now as far as India Inc. is concerned? With the kind of backing of policy you're seeing, what would you say?
Well, I think all the industrial players, all the corporates, I would say include the medium and small industries as well, know one thing for sure, that the consumption in this country for all the products that they're going to manufacture is only going to rise. With 1 billion people in the workforce, dependency going down, which means there are lots of more demand for services and products, you need scale. And for that, you need to invest. So on one hand, the government of India is encouraging massive investments in infrastructure, fully recognizing that every dollar that goes into infrastructure will yield $2.5, $3 in economic activity. And the private sector, led by, I would say, major industrial companies. My own company spends between 30 and 35,000 crores a year on digital infrastructure creation, whether it's laying up of fiber, putting up more towers, more radios, more satellite nodes, more submarine cables. And similarly, you're seeing the cement, steel, automobiles, new industries like green hydrogen. So people are investing. I mean, large industrial houses are investing. Sometimes I think there's a kind of a feeling that the Indian incorporation or Indian industry is not spending enough to match the government's ambitions or aspirations. Occasionally, sometimes you have overcapacity created and then the prices fall. Right now you're seeing in the steel industry, some dumping is happening from our neighboring countries. So there's a bit of a stress there. But these are cycles which are, to my mind, short in a country like India, which has massive consumption. So I remain very hopeful that you will have very strong supply side investments coming through.
So what is the next big investment leg, Mr. Mittal? Is it satellite enabled digital push for India? Is that the next big dream for you, what you are seeing?
Well, I have been into satellite for the last now about 4.5 years. I've been studying it. I personally feel that is truly one of the now magic bullets to cover the dark areas. We still have about 2 billion people in the world who are not connected to internet. Even in the most advanced countries like US, you have something called RDOF, which was the Rural Development Opportunity Fund created by FCC of $16 billion. I was quite surprised that there are large parts of US which still do not have high-speed broadband. And you can't reach them. It's just physically very difficult. So coming back to our country, the large swaths of Rajasthan desert, it's very hard to cover it by radio telephony. Himalayas, forests, the coastline, aviation, there are areas where mobile networks will not go, leave alone fiber. For those areas, you need satellite communications. And that, to my mind, offers now a great source of new opportunities for us mobile operators or telecom operators to put that in a mix and start to cover areas which have still left behind. India provides a very high quality signal to 95% of its population. There are 5% of people who don't get internet in the country, and they live in 25% of the area of the country. So it's a very large area with a very small population. The only way to cover that is satellite.
Okay, so right now you have roti, kapda, makan and Wi-Fi have become the needs of the people. You're saying by bringing satellite spectrum into play, you cover this for all of India. Is that the difference that we will see?
Yeah, I think this will, right now there's a ground station in Gujarat, in Mehsana, and in Pondicherry. There are 2 ground stations ready to start services. The day government gives us the permission, there will not be a single square inch of this country which will not have a radio coverage. So you just need to raise your hand and be connected.
So, I have to ask this question, and it's not about any one company or any one service, but why is it so difficult to have a clear telephone conversation or a mobile phone conversation without being interrupted? While we're talking about 5G, we're talking about satellite, many customers constantly complain about everyone. I'm not just pointing out one, that it's so difficult to make a call. How does that change?
Well, honestly, I've not heard this in a long time. There was a period of time that their spectrum was less. Spectrum is now plentiful. Yes, there are still some issues about siting of towers, especially, I would say Lutyens, Delhi is one classic case where putting up towers is a real problem. For companies that spend tens of billions of dollars on spectrum and spends every year $4 to $5 billion, putting up 2,000 sites in Delhi is a piece of cake. You can do it in 20 days. The problem is siting of towers. Please don't put up on my home or near my place or in my building, but go into somebody else's place. That's a real problem. Yeah. Thankfully, the new Telecom Act provides for access to buildings, a right of way to put fiber in the hands of the mobile operators. Is it working on the ground? Not fully. NDMC, MCD, all have to be sensitized. State governments have to be sensitized. It's just putting in more infrastructure. But the good news is we have some of our friends here from the US. I was just told by our guest who just spoke before me that he pays $100 a month. And I can tell you the US services are significantly poorer than India. And you spend $2.50 a month here, and you get 60 gigabytes a month. You can't use 60 gigabytes a month. There are, I have to say, we are significantly superior than Europe, UK, US, of course, better than African continent. We are behind Japan, Singapore, Dubai. These are 2 city-states, and maybe certainly South Korea. These are, to my mind, are role models where the quality of mobile networks is really superior. Advantage, and I must explain this, siting is not a problem because every building is connected with a fiber. All you need to do is go and put up a street furniture, as we call it, a small little antenna in a building, connected to the fiber, and you backhaul it to the radio network. That will take some time here. We just need, as we just heard, urban infrastructure should be a plug and play. I should be able to go and put up on any street lamp a small antenna. Wherever you have a call problem of a call drop or a voice quality, plug it there, put up a small antenna, it's done. It'll take some time. But we are, honestly, I'm telling you, I'm the biggest, or rather the chief complaint officer of my company. There's a person sitting in my car. Whenever the call is not going through well, he makes a note. By the evening, we try to resolve it. There's not a single dinner I go to where somebody tells me, my phone is not working in my 3rd basement. 3rd basement. I'm saying, you pay me $2.50, okay, I'll still attempt to do it. I mostly get to the 2nd basement, I can tell you, but sometimes I don't get to the 3rd basement.
Sir, just talking about the $2.50, tariff hikes were taken, but do we need more?
After that, we are at $2.50 after the tariff hike. So you can imagine what we have been suffering for a long time. Ideally, $5, not 50 or 100. But that is where we need to get to buy more spectrum, put more investment in infrastructure. I am telling you, we heard our Honorable Prime Minister this morning, this country's future is resting on digital infrastructure.
Yes.
The wonderful DPI that the Prime Minister spoke about today is truly a gift to every citizen of this nation, and hopefully that can be lifted and shifted to Africa and other developing countries. UPI, direct benefit transfers, Aadhaar-based identification, all this is creating wonderful magic. Just imagine these phones in the hands of villagers who are connected to the world now on high-speed data, paying a very small amount of money. We really need to create a first-rate infrastructure here, continue to invest in it, and if that means crowdsourced another $0.50 or $1 from each customer in the country, trust me, it's worth it, because we will build the same networks as you see in Japan and Singapore right here in this country.
How does that happen then? How do you think 2.5 will go to $5? Is the appetite there? I think the last tariff hike was well taken. Do you see more coming anytime soon?
So at some point in time, my view is yes, because in the end, current ARPUs are lower than 2016. Add to that all the inflation of electricity, fuel prices, compensation salaries, just basically cost of running any business. We have not even caught up with the inflation. I mean, if you go to UK, what has the Ofcom done? There's a price set, and after that they're saying you can keep on increasing every year with the inflation. That's what all the companies do. We have been going back in our tariffs. So coming back a little bit at some point in time will be valid, very valid.
I want to switch to a bigger vision, and we spoke in detail about telecom sector and of course what Bharti Airtel is doing, the groundbreaking moves. I come back to congratulating you on the use of AI to stop spam. But I want to come to you on the kind of impact policy push has for industry. And I ask you from the point of view of something that you have experienced yourself, and you've spoken about this. When in the 80s, suddenly overnight, a business you were in no longer existed because of a change in policy. Do you think India Inc. today feels more secure that such changes will not happen? Because the last thing business wants is instability.
Yeah, I think policy predictability is required for any investor, both foreign and domestic. In the last 10 years, we have seen only more solidifying of policy making, stability of policy making, and in fact, in our industry, which had plethora of regulations, have all been simplified. Today, doing telecom business is much, much easier